Hi everyone, let's go through my medium time frame scenario, starting with the first medium time frame Elliott Wave scenario in Bitcoin, where I'm looking for a 5-wave structure in an A or 1, followed by a 3-wave structure in a B or 2, and then continuation to the downside in a wave C or a wave 3. If we now look at this corrective structure, for me it's all taking a little bit too much time. So if this W over here is a zigzag followed by another zigzag in an X with a very extended wave C, then it would have been nice if wave Y, in this then being a WXY, if wave Y was going to be this structure over here. However, we got another range and then currently another range, and yeah, you could think about a triple zigzag, which then is a WXYXZ, but even this second X starts to be quite a bit like long as well. And if this is then the Z to the upside, you want to see an impulsive structure, but at the moment as it stands now, it doesn't look too impulsive, right? So it's definitely all taking a little bit too much time what's happening over here. However, disregarding the time for a second and just looking at potential interesting areas for reversal, we do still have the target box over here between 30.2k and 30.4k, which also has the double top just above for maybe a bit of a liquidity grab and then a move to the downside. But we really have to wait and see how price is going to approach this area. We also have the 1-to-1 over here taken from the low to the high of W to the low of wave X for some additional confluence, so that at least is nice, and then we eventually expect price to move to the downside. But I have two other scenarios for you. So the second scenario that I like to show you has basically the same problem, but now we have a 3-wave structure over here and then a wave A or a wave W followed by another 3-wave structure to the upside. But then again, the same problem applies, is that it's all taking a little bit too much time. It's starting to become a very long sideways structure, right? So we then have a W, we then have an X, and we would have expected then another wave Y to the upside for potentially a WXY, because a WXY is a 3-3-3 wave structure. And in an ABC, it's a 3-3-5 wave move to the downside eventually. So if this is a wave X, you want to see a 3-3-3. Would have been nice if this was going to be the last wave in a wave Y. But as you can see, we clearly didn't get that at the moment because of this range, and now ranging sideways again, and la-di-la-di-la, right? So it's all taking a little bit much time. And then if this is an ABC, and then a 3-3-5, then yeah, if this is W, this is X, and this is part of wave Y that has to go all the way up here, you can imagine how long this and how big this wave Y is going to be compared to the W. And the W and the wave Y do have a little bit of a one-to-one relationship. So yeah, it's quite complex what's going on the lower time frames, and therefore this scenario is also not really my preferred scenario. What is nice, however, is that the target area for potentially a wave B and an expanding flat, being then an ABC, does have confluence with the 2022 range highs and the rare target for a wave Y in the blue wave Y, if this is then still a WXY. But as mentioned, if this is all part of a wave Y, it starts to take a lot of time. And because of the two problems I basically mentioned, I also at least want to show you this scenario. So in this scenario, we then have a wave A to the downside, a B sideways, and then eventually a C to the downside, or a WXY. It doesn't matter really. So in this scenario, we are having some sort of a big triangle going on, where the first structure is a zigzag in a wave A, the second B is a zigzag as well, and then the C is a double zigzag, so that's a more complex structure, and then an A or a W over here, triangle X, and then another move to the downside, ending this wave C. Now looking for a D to the downside, eventually an E, before then continuation. So the end of wave E over here, that is going to be the end of wave B, for then a continuation to the downside in either a wave C or W, right? Because this is either a 5-wave structure or a 3-wave structure, but in a WXY or an ABC, wave X or wave B can both be a potential triangle scenario for then continuation down. So yeah, this is definitely something that I now have on my mind. Also because this 3-wave structure is a double zigzag, and a double zigzag can't really have like any continuation unless it is a triple zigzag. So this looks like maybe a finished structure, and now we are gonna look towards the downside more than the upside. Instead of taking the high of A, we might actually look for downside first, then eventually up again for E, and then continuation down. Now an alternative for this scenario is that the A, B, C, D, E are gonna move one high to the right. So in this particular scenario, if I quickly remove this for a second, then this is just a move to the upside, and then potentially a wave A over here, or W. And then the triangle is going to be this, like an A, B, C, D, E. And then after wave E is in, you expect a bit more upside. So that is also a potential to keep in mind, but at the moment as it stands, I probably prefer this to be the beginning of the triangle with wave A over here. So because of the sideways structure and the time that it starts to take, this is a scenario I now have in mind because the WXY scenarios, and this being a WX and then movement up for Y, I don't know, it doesn't feel that great anymore, right? It starts to take a lot of time. So yeah, this is something I'm looking for at the moment, a bit of a new scenario. I hope this was helpful or valuable to you as well. Please check out the macro and the high time frame video if you're interested. And for now, thanks for watching and subscribing. Enjoy your weekend, and I will see you at the next one. Bye-bye.